Listen to this.
Venezuela, I don't know what they are fighting for. I'm still watching, studying it. The Americans are saying that some of the Latin Americans are sending drugs to the US. But whatever the case, we shall find out, we shall learn more. But whatever the case is, you can see the gaps, which I'm telling you about. Because the Americans are operating from 4 dimensions. They're operating from sea, they're in the sea. The Latin Americans are not there. They don't have a navy. Then they can come with air force, and then space. They're in space. Now they are trying to come on land, which of course is very risky also for the Americans. There you come near, because even me, who has got a short range, I can harm you. But there you are at an advantage. You are seeing me in space. I'm not seeing you. You're in the ocean. I'm not there. I'm here. So the issue of strategic security of Africa is very crucial. East African Federation, I'm glad the East African leaders have never given up. Even when we were last in Arusha, they appointed me as an advocate for the Federation, so that we are able to unite our land space, unite our sea space, have more resources to be able to build capacity in the 4 dimensions: on land, at sea, in the air, and in the space. Both space. We must go to space. We can't remain here when other people are in space and we think we are clever. Dancing and watching European football clubs. It's very, very risky for you people. So you should wake up and wake up the the young generation should have pleasure, but also they must have security, a secure future. And they have all the potential, because like East Africa is very strong. Because we can use Swahili. They are the same groups. You have Kenyans like Nyangweso, that Nyangweso is a Kenyan. He's here. All those Sanyas are from Kenya. Then we have Congolese. Also here, Banyarwanda, they are all. So East Africa is a very powerful unit for the black race. Yes, you can have smaller countries in the world, like in Denmark, but they all have a center of gravity. When they're in trouble, there's a big boy like the US to defend them. Now the African race have no center of gravity. And you are here just dancing in Pakachin, Very risky very risky. I was young like you. I would also dance, swing guards like this. But I would also remember to fight. Fight, study, fight, work, and dance once in a while. But the problem is that you are now dancing all the time. Like Latin America, you can see Latin America the way it is happening. Why is Latin America miserable And yet in terms of natural resources, it's actually much richer than the United States. If you look at the water, you look at the minerals, you look at the forests, Latin America is richer than the United States. Why should the United States be more prosperous than Latin America? Because of that difference of integration. When the American colonists separated from England, they formed the nucleus of the United States. The 13 colonies, they formed the nucleus, then they have been adding on. That's why in America you can easily succeed if you are a businessman. Because if you are in New York, you produce a product, you can sell it all the way up to California. 300 million people. Now in Latin America, you are in Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, you are here, if you produce a product, you can't. How will you succeed? Here in Africa, if I produce a product to go to here, I must negotiate, to go there, I must negotiate. That's why we had to try and revive this African community. Now, but there's also the issue of strategic security. That's why for us we support the Federation of East Africa. Because as we speak today, the Americans are on the moon. The Chinese are on the moon. The Russians are on the moon. The Indians have gone to the moon. You fellows, we are here on Earth, here. The Europeans are looking at us from space like they are seeing us, we don't see them. This is very dangerous. And you have all these Katendes, all these fellows, influencers. What are you influencing? Why don't you say, you people are in danger? People are on the moon, we are here. They are seeing us, we don't see them. But can Uganda and the Americans, they have been saying so openly, they say for them, they want to be superior in land forces, superior on land, superior at sea, the Navy, superior in Air Force, superior in space. Where does that leave Africa? Africans are here, dance mpaka chini. Yes, you can dance if you want, but please, look at your future. Where is your future? How will you be safe? How will you be safe in the world? So that's why you can bring my tablet. Can you bring my picture? I'm lucky to see this Gen Z wanange. Let me see me wanange. Bring my picture. Banange katonda jari. Abakuru bano bali wano. That's why we was talking of the East African. For economic prosperity, it must be economic integration in East Africa and the whole of Africa, a common market of Africa. We need a common market of Africa. We have started, and it's what we call CFTA, the Continental Free Trade Area, so that we can trade. The market is there. Actually, when you have Africa, the Chinese are 1.5 billion inside China. But you find the Chinese dying for more markets. But now, China, somebody with 1.4 billion people is still hungry for more market. You, of a small number, you are not even bothered. Yeah, dance back at you, dance back at you. Are you not an endangered species? Why don't you see that? Why would the China get worried? Yet he has already got 1.4 billion people inside Abamugurako. Nange mwongereko sente mukasawo yange mwongereko. You are not bad, you are just seen. So that is for economic prosperity, but there is a strategic security. Because with the economic integration of East Africa, of the common market of Africa, we shall deal with the economy. Businessmen will have a market where to sell, and they will invest more. And if they invest more, they will create jobs, the jobs we are talking about. Because if I'm a businessman, I sell more, I expand, I create more jobs. But that one does not address the issue of army. Because a common market doesn't involve army. Defense. We need an African political unit that can guarantee the defense of the black race. That's why we have been talking for the last 60 years of the East African Federation. East Africa would have the capacity to go to the moon and check on what those fellows are doing there. The moon is a common property. Mkora chiwano, kumwezi. Mefu kachuliwano, dance mpaka chini. People on the moon, they are looking at us like, Babite ebinyomo, these insects which eat sugar. The insects, emunyono chumurgan. Warwe biuka ebiria sukari. Ebinyomo, tuliwa nge ebinyomo, batulengala bulengezi, wenza kuleta dumu nofuira. So this is very dangerous. When you hear America, the people who you call Americans now are Europeans who went and took the land of the Indians. Because the Indians were stupid, they were not organized. And the Europeans had already tried to take our land. Those who came to South Africa, they are taking their land. In South Africa, in Zimbabwe, even here in Kenya, in the 1950s, we were learning of something they were calling the White Highlands. Part of Kenya was regarded as White Highlands. That's what they were teaching us. But what happened at that time, there were changes in the world which favored us. By 1900, the whole of Africa had been colonized. Our stupid chiefs had failed to defend us because they were fighting among themselves. So the whole of Africa had been colonized. But what happened was that in 1912, the Africans in South Africa formed the first resistance movement, the ANC. They formed modern people now. Actually, it started in the US, the black people there. Some of them started Pan-Africanism. There was a man called Marcus Garvey, another one called something else, I've forgotten their name, W.B. Du Bois. They started talking about African freedom. When the whole of Africa had been colonized, except for Ethiopia. So in 1912, the Africans formed the ANC to resist. Then in 1917,